What is up, everybody? It's Thursday, so you know what that means. Welcome to another episode of InfoSec Unplugged Live. I'm your host, Davin Jackson, also known as DJax Alpha on Twitter, and thank you for joining for another week. I'm a bit nervous this week. Been trying to get these two gentlemen on the show for a little while now. When we talk about doing InfoSec podcasts and everything, I hold them as like the gold standard of how to run your business and run your podcast and really make it work for you. So I know I usually go through the whole list of people, that we talk about with Udemy and stuff like that, but y'all already know what to do there. Click the links in the description. Anything you do will help the show and help the podcast grow. So thank you for your support. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, everybody watching, please help me welcome my guests, Chris Cochran and Ronald Eddings, also known as Hacker Valley Studios.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, good to be here.
Yes, I know I've been trying to get you guys for a little while now. I don't know what happened before, but we're here now. So
we're here.
Thank you for joining. I'm super excited to have you guys here. Like I said, you guys are like the gold standard when it comes to the podcast game, especially in this little niche area of cybersecurity, podcasting, and just talking to people, just down to earth. So I'm going to shut the hell up and I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves. So,
kick it off, Chris.
Absolutely. I'm Chris Cochran. Spent pretty much my entire career in cybersecurity and most recently made a complete switch. Now we create content full time. This is I still can't believe this is my job. I get to talk to amazing people like you. I get to interview all these incredible folks, making content, making videos, really just living the dream. Started my career in the United States Marine Corps. I was at the National Security Agency. I was at United States Cyber Command when it stood up. I've been in so many different awesome organizations like Netflix, and I was at Mandiant. I've led security operations teams. I've led threat intelligence. And now I'm really focused on up-leveling everybody in cybersecurity and in technology. And I'm beyond excited to have this conversation today.
Yes, and before we go any further, from one veteran to another, Happy Veterans Day.
Yes,
Thank you for your service, for your sacrifice. A lot of that. I get nervous sometimes when people say it to me because I feel like there are so many people out there that are more deserving. But nonetheless, thank you for your service, and to all my brothers and sisters in arms out there, keep fighting the good fight. We're here with you. So I'm sorry about that, but Ronald, it's on you.
Absolutely. And yeah, thanks again for having me. Feel free to call me Ron. That's what everybody calls me for the most part. I always like to say that I'm a son of cybersecurity, and cybersecurity has really been like family to me. It's been with me since I was a teen, and learning right from wrong and learning that I'm not going to be the best at sports. Cybersecurity was there for me. It supported me, and also met some great people early before I even knew cybersecurity was a thing. I met this gentleman named Marcus Carey, and he took me under his wing. He told me the certifications to get, like how to position myself as a professional, really. And I've been in love with cybersecurity since. I did the past 10 years where I focused on being a practitioner and or a consultant for organizations and teams. But I decided I'm going to spend the next 10 years really focused on the fundamentals and like giving information back. So like giving all of the foundational information and knowledge I learned about like IP addresses, hosts, exploitation. Not that stuff isn't really changing. So creating content around that.
Yes. Real quick, shout out to Marcus J. Carey. I think if there was like a sainthood in cybersecurity, I think I would definitely put his name up there. He's helped me tremendously. Not even on a career side, just personally. I hold him to a high regard, and he knows how I feel, and he knows, like, he's one of the few people who aren't family or like that can reach out to me and go, "Hey, pump your brakes, chill out for a second, and I'll go, all right, I'm gonna listen for a minute. So
Mm-hmm.
shout out to him. But again, thank you guys for joining. I think you touched on it a little earlier, but walk us through the not the super long story, but this the details of how you got started and how you came into this thing we call cybersecurity and that we all love. Ronald, you can go first. Ron, I'm sorry, I'm gonna call you Ron.
It's all good. It's all good. I got started, kind of had like a weird introduction. Maybe like most people, I feel like everyone has a non-traditional way in, but I got hacked. I was a teenager and I was, talking crap on AOL Instant Messenger. Shout outs. I know everybody knows about that. Facebook before Facebook, but I was talking crap. Me and my friends were talking about sports. I thought, Kobe's better than Shaq. I ended up talking crap to the wrong person. They sent me a file. I opened it, and my computer started doing crazy stuff. Like the screen went black. My CD-ROM drive started opening up and closing. And my biggest fear was my mom was gonna find out. So I was like, I gotta
Yes.
not only like get this person off of it, but now I gotta learn how they did it because I gotta send this to all my friends. So that was really the first taste that I had. But again, working with great mentors, having people like Chris in my corner, it's really just been a blessing to lead me to the opportunities after I acquired the skills.
Right. Shout out to the AIM chat. That was a battlefield back in the day. Might be showing ages a little bit, but yeah, the AIM chat was definitely a war zone back in the day. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, I've always been a tinkerer. I was one of those kids that had the little electronic sets that you could turn into an AM FM radio or you could turn into an alarm system. I thought I was going to build Terminators, because Terminator 2 was my jam. I love that movie. But that didn't quite work out. I didn't go into robotics, but I've always been interested in technology. I do have a story that I like to tell about how I got into the computer space in the beginning. But let's fast forward a little bit to the United States Marine Corps, since it is Veterans Day. Really, that's really where I got my shot. Not only did I get my shot, and I built my profession, I started to hone in on a specific craft, which was threat intelligence, but I also got the chance to finish school. I dropped out of school to join the Marine Corps. And just all the great things that have happened in my life really stem from that decision to join the armed service. So shout out to everybody that's out there doing their thing. And definitely, if you're thinking about the armed services, it changed my life. I think it could change yours. But I was at the National Security Agency doing stuff, and I really got to reignite that love of technology. And really, I got to blend two things that I love, which is technology and also logic and argumentation. In the beginning of school, I was a philosophy major, and I realized I'm probably not going to get a great paying job in philosophy unless I become this great world-renowned philosopher. I wasn't that good. I was just that interested in it. And so I got to combine those two with threat intelligence. And I just used that until the wheels fall off. I created some frameworks around threat intelligence. I've stood up organizations all over the country. And it really gave me everything that I have today. And that was my launching point into creating content. And now I'm living both lives through content and through technology.
Nice, I like that. If it's one thing I regret, well, I won't say I regret it. When I went into the military, it was kind of rushed.
Mm.
You know, you've heard the story before, inner city kid just trying to get out, and a bunch of different things happen, and mom's was just like, you gotta go.
Right.
Uh, but surprisingly, like I scored really high on the ASVAB test, which I didn't study for, I didn't prepare for. Truth be told, I was trying to skip class, and the principal was literally like right behind me, and there was a recruiter right there saying, "Hey, you want to take the ASVAB test?" And I'm like, "The hell is that?" And, and they were like, "You'll get credit for like half the day," and I'm like, "All right, cool, let's do it." So fast forward, I actually went into the Army National Guard for air traffic control. But then when a bunch of my friends passed away and then another friend was murdered,
Mm.
my mom was like, "You can't come back to Bridgeport, so we're gonna see about getting you in the military full time."
Right.
So my Army National Guard recruiter actually helped me go Air Force full time. And I became an aircraft mechanic. So F-16s and F-117 cells stationed in Holloman. Believe it or not, there aren't any fighter jets in the civilian world. So came home with no idea of what I was going to do. And if you heard the story before, my wife basically put her foot in my behind and was just like, "You got to do something. What do you like to do?" And I always liked to tinker when I was younger. Like I said, my grandmother used to let me do it. And similar to what Ron said, I didn't want to break anything because that woman would like tear my behind up if I did.
Right.
So it was like, if I got to take it apart, I made sure I put it back together by the time my dad picked me up at 5 p.m. And the rest is history. I got into tech, started from doing help desk and worked my way up, and then jumped into cybersecurity maybe about 7-8 years ago. So
wow,
beautiful.
Yeah, so if I had it to do over again, I probably would have did more research and probably jumped into the tech field from there. But it is what it is. So before we go any further, I just want to give a shout out to my pack, everybody in the chat. I love y'all. Thank you for coming out another week and supporting. I know y'all probably aren't here for me; you're here for my guests, and rightfully so. But if you guys saw earlier in the chat, I put hashtag AIM chat just because I felt a little bit of nostalgia when Ron was talking about it. So I need everybody in the chat to just go hashtag AIM chat. And what we'll do is we'll add that to the list of people for our giveaway from We Hack Purple Academy. They're giving away another secure coding course, and they've blessed me with the opportunity to share it with you. So put hashtag AIM chat in there, and we'll get you guys going on another giveaway. So in the meantime, you know the rules. You can ask anything to me or my guests. Just keep it clean and respectful, because I do return energy in kind. So, gentlemen, in your careers, what challenges have you faced or that you still face now? Anyone can go first.
Challenges that you face. I feel like the challenges that I've faced the majority of my career are self-imposed. I feel like there's a lot of self-doubt that happens. There's a lot of imposter syndrome that happens throughout one's career. And it really wasn't until recently, since we started the podcast, which grew into a network, which grew into this crazy business that we have now. I really didn't see myself and my place in this universe. But I feel like now that I understand both myself, I understand my abilities, I have confidence in the things that I do well. But not only that, I understand the things that I don't do well. I understand the things that I haven't been really good at or don't have the aptitude to do. And so the more you discover about yourself, the more power and the more influence you can have. So that's one of the things that we try to teach is definitely try to tinker and dabble in all the things that you could be interested in. And once you find that thing that you find interesting, like look into it, go as far as you can. That crafts person's mindset is really where all that mastery comes from, is that 1% better every single day. And I would say that I think that's a lot of people out there, because a lot of people have been counted out. A lot of people have had their value not be reflected. But once you understand like what you can contribute, once you understand your purpose and your superpower, you're an unstoppable force. You can take whatever industry that you're interested in, whatever subject you're interested in, whether it's a sport, a hobby, or a career, and you could take it to the next level. So that's what I think about has been the biggest challenge for me is my own mind.
I like that. And Jennifer Santiago says, "I don't care what you say, Chris. You are my favorite philosopher." And
same here.
Yes, yeah, I see why. Shout out to Jen. I'll see you next week
She's
at
the best.
at Sands Hack Fest. Ron, so what about you? What's been your challenges?
I would say there's two that I'll share here. Just because I think like these are challenges that a lot of people end up facing. One is that self-imposed issue that you put on yourself that Chris was mentioning. For me, it's been more about mindset. Like my mindset hasn't always been in the most productive way. Like I've thought to myself, man, like only if I could be more like this person, or if I could only be more like that type of company that's doing all of this great work, I started to lose what was important to me. And that ultimately affected my mindset. And when I started to focus on what's most important, like Chris was talking about, when I started to focus on what's most important, I did this through getting into meditation. I wasn't spending enough time with my thoughts. I was always on the go. And I started to meditate and ask myself, what is good for me? What are the things that are going to give me more energy? Because when I was meditating, that was the first time that I had the opportunity to think, what is going to give me more energy or take energy away from me? Because other than that, I was always on the go. And, doing that, I was able to like really center myself, center the things, center my day around what is going to be perfect. I started to define things like, what does perfection mean for me? Because, it's all about how you define things and how you communicate with yourself. And once I started communicating with myself better is when my mindset changed, and I had this unstoppable mindset where I could do anything. I could talk to anyone. I can come on this show and, have a great conversation, make a great friend, and put all the motives to the side of being like someone else or being like a company, and focus on being me. And the other piece that I share is money. We all work for a specific reason. A lot of the reason is purpose, mission, but there's always that last thing, and that's money. And when I started to ask myself, what is your relationship with money? How are you going to manage this resource to help your other resources, the things that you want to do, the time that you spend on these things? I started to also get a very good relationship with money, and I learned my worth. So when I overcame those two challenges is when I really started to feel like I'm stepping into that superpower, purpose that I have out there.
You taking them to church right now. You're taking them to church right now. Those are two things that I emphasize a lot, about knowing your worth. Once you know your worth and you put in the work, a lot of people want to chase the bag, but I feel like it comes naturally once once you've proven your work and proven your worth, and your worth, right? And I get there's the issues of gatekeeping and things like that, but to Chris's point, sometimes you can get in your own way. I found a lot of the times, even now, I get overwhelmed, right? Because there's so many things that I want to do, right? Like I'm working on stuff with API testing. I'm working on, trying to build my own brand. I'm working on, trying to write a book or ebook or something, put out a course.
Right.
And there's so many different things while trying to be a husband and be a father and just be a regular human being who can step away from this computer screen.
Right.
And that in itself can cause a lot of anxiety. So, thank you for your honesty with that, and talking about the meditation and stuff like that, because I think that's super important. That's something that kind of gets overlooked when we talk about people and their success stories, right? You go on social media and you always hear the end result. Oh yeah, right. I make this much money, or I've done this, or I got this role, I have these letters behind my name, but they don't talk about the imposter syndrome, the anxiety attacks, the shoveling of crap that you have to probably deal with for years to get there. So I definitely appreciate, you guys stepping up and talking about that.
Absolutely.
And you guys touched on it, but with dealing with everything and realizing your superpower, it's like you guys came together and formed Voltron, since we're talking about superpowers and stuff like that. But you two came together and you started this amazing podcast with Hacker Valley. I really want to know how you guys got the idea to do it. I think it's been around, from my research, about a couple of years now. I think you guys
a few years,
2 years,
almost
so
3 years.
congratulations. Yeah, so congratulations on that. And I mean, because of that podcast, I was introduced to a lot of people who I didn't know at the time, but then I came to know. So a couple of my favorite episodes was the conversation you had with Tanya Janca. Shout out to her, who's actually whose company is sponsoring this episode. You've had Alyssa Miller on, and then talking about vulnerability, you had Charles Nuatu. Like that one, I was like, oh Charles. Man, that one made me realize you can be more than just a hacker or or cybersecurity professional, you can talk about real life things.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the things when I started to come together with the idea of what I wanted to do. I tell the story, like, if it wasn't for the Share the Mic and Cyber event, I probably wouldn't have come up with the show. But when I started researching about what I wanted to do with the show, you know, looking at that platform and how you guys were having these real conversations with people, I was like, yes, right.
It's the way to go.
So tell me how Hacker Valley came to be.
You start.
Yeah, so I'll start us off. It's actually a great story. It's pretty funny, just because when me and Chris, we've known each other for a while, and we used to work together at a startup in Maryland, and then I ultimately moved to San Jose, California, and I was there for about 2 years, and then 2 years goes by. Chris takes a job at Netflix, and he hits me up. I see that he's doing like these videos on Instagram, and they're pretty awesome. He had like a film crew. He was doing the thing, and he was also showing his weight loss journey, which was inspiring in its own right. And I was creating these YouTube videos. My fiance told me, she challenged me to go on a 30-day live streaming rampage. So I was doing exactly what you were doing, going live on YouTube, but I did it for 30 days, and Chris also saw that. So when he was in transition to move to California, he said, "Hey, Ron, you know, I know you got this like hacker mansion you've been trying to set up with one of your friends. My family's not coming out for 3 or so months. Could I stay at your hacker mansion?" And I was like, absolutely. We're going to create content. I thought we were going to create a YouTube channel that was going to reach, you know, millions of people, but it turned out to be a podcast. We had like not the best camera skills at the time, so that was a pretty funny experience to go through. But we started talking about cybersecurity alchemy. Like, how can you take seemingly unvaluable things and make them valuable? And we talked about that. It was a great conversation, just the two of us, and we never stopped recording since.
So, Hacker Mansion, is this like you literally wanted to build I'm intrigued by this. Please.
Yeah, let me break it down. You mind if I get real for a minute?
No, go ahead. Go, please.
All right.
Absolutely. Have you
check
seen
it out. So this was the concept, the feeling, the spirit that we were trying to embody. I want you to picture a big house in Silicon Valley, right? You have 4 minority men living together, many of them in their like 30s, and they're all focused on getting better. They're all focused on being the best they can in this technological like oasis. And I tell you what, it was one of the most rare instances, I think, in humanity to have these minority men doing really well in technology. And all they wanted to do was get better every single day. We were going to the gym in the morning. We were having Wednesday yoga sessions. We had a yoga instructor come to the house, teach us that stuff. On Sundays, we would go through breathing exercises, usually run by Ron. He would bring in different coaches, and we go through these different experiences. And it was so surreal. And I was just imagining, like, I wish everybody could experience what this is like. I wish everybody could experience what it's like to be around other people that hold you accountable. But not only that, bring their knowledge, bring their journeys, bring their experiences along with them, and everybody get better together. So how do we take that and bottle it up in a way that we can share with the entire world? And really, that's where Hacker Valley Studio came from. It's that focus of that mental athlete with no off season, right? That practitioner that's using creativity and context clues on a daily basis. What are the fringes on cybersecurity and personal growth and development on performance that we could share with everybody? And we don't just look at the practitioners. We don't just interview practitioners. We bring masters of their craft from all walks of life, from all different experiences and backgrounds, so that we can share all these learnings with everybody. So this spirit of this Hacker Mansion is what is continued to today, almost 200 episodes into the original podcast. And now we have like 6 different shows, and next year we'll have like 11. And so this is really what has like permeated, is this spirit of the Hacker Valley Mansion.
That's dope. That, I mean, I like the concept of, you know, a group of people holding each other accountable, and again, doing things that aren't necessarily tech related. So the breathing exercises and going to the gym, because face it, a lot of us, I mean, I guess I gained 27 pounds studying for the OSCP, right? Because it was lack of sleep, eating whatever I could just to kind of get that was in front of me, just so I could stay in the labs, and I still failed it. But
it's all good.
But yeah, that's amazing. And one of the things that I preach about is the importance of ownership, having your own, right? So whether it's your own blog, your own YouTube channel, your own podcast and podcast studio, to me that's super that's super duper important. And did that and everything that you guys have done, did that ever play a factor into any decision that you made as far as ownership or having to give it up? And I'm asking because I have a story. I don't know if you heard it, but I'll get to that in a second. But how important was, having this platform and this podcast and YouTube being the face of it and it being yours? How much of that played into the role of building this?
Well, it's tough to say. Just because me and Chris were creative people, we love taking on new projects. We love learning. So this was a project for us. We decided that we were gonna really create content and just get good at it. We were gonna pick a target and just aim and keep on going. And the beauty with the podcast is we've just been able to be ourselves. We've been able to have all these amazing, great guests come on, talk about their journey, talk about their experiences, but not just from the perspective of technology, but also from the perspective of humanity. We've been like able to really just use our human stories to tell other people's human stories. And the podcast was just something that we had to build ourselves. There was no other way about it at the time. Like we couldn't join another network or join forces with someone else. Everything that we wanted to do had to be done custom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like our journey, it reminds me straight out of Compton. I don't know if anybody's seen that movie, but it chronicles the lives of NWA. And I've always looked at the podcast as this creative endeavor. I always wanted to include different elements of movies and music. And I feel like Ron and I were like that scrappy upstart studio. We're just finding our lane. We're finding our own personal flavor. And we're just using that to speak to people out there. Is everything we do for everybody? Absolutely not. There are people that they're confused about, is this personal growth and development or is this about technology? It's both. We do things like social justice pieces. We just did the second season of We Are Here, which is this season's focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion. The first season was on Black excellence and cybersecurity. And I got to be real, and we haven't said this publicly to anybody, but we lost followership because of the special we did. And but we're going to continue to do that stuff because it means it's for us. And because you don't rock with us now because of the stuff we did, then that's fine. That's completely fine. But there are people that need to hear that. There are people that are going to be inspired by that. There are people that are going to be educated by that. So we're going to keep doing what we think is right. We're going to try to stay true to all the people that have been rocking with us since the beginning. And that's really what this journey is all about for us.
Absolutely. I feel the same. I feel the same way. Like I've lost a lot of people, followers or subscribers from the blog site or here, because of the same thing, right? Because I bring people on to talk about their challenges. I bring a lot of women on here to speak about the struggles that they deal with, whether it's the pay gap or just just being a woman in this field. I got a lot of heat when I had the Blacks in Cybersecurity group on here talking about the conference. But that's the beauty of ownership, right? Is that I don't answer to anybody. And if you don't like it, I'm trying to be better this season, right? Because I'm trying to grow, right? I got you guys here, so I'm going to behave myself. But normally I would tell them what they could do with themselves. Right.
Be careful. Be careful listening.
Yeah, seriously. But you talk about, the importance of doing these things and building your own brand and your own likeness and your own vision. And earlier this year, you guys, it paid off in a major way, right? Because now you guys have a partnership with Axonius as
Mm-hmm.
content creation managers. Like, please, I need the cheat code for that, because I mean, you touched on it earlier that you get to create content that you want to create and
Mm-hmm.
get paid for it. Please, if you can share the cheat code, there's a bunch of content creators on here right now in the chat.
Yeah.
But please, first of all, congratulations on that, because that was huge. Like, when I saw that, I think I jumped up and did a happy dance for y'all, and it was like I did. Like, I saw it and I was like, that's big, because for one, representation matters, right? So
Mm-hmm.
to see two brothers who I know what it's like to come up here week after week and work on stuff even when you don't feel like it, or you have other things pressing, and to see you guys grow that into something and get the recognition for it, to now you leverage it into something this major, like, that's a finesse move or a flip that that we don't talk about enough. So
Yeah.
kudos to you, gentlemen, and please, if you have the cheat code, share that now.
So this is the cheat code, and I hope everybody's listening. Get in close. Get in close. This is the cheat code.
Yes.
Our favorite book is by an author named Cal Newport, and the title of the book is "Be So Good They Can't Ignore You."
Mm.
Do whatever it is that's in your craft, that thing you want to do, that thing that keeps you up at night. What is that thing that you wake up in the morning and you're like, I want to get a little bit better? Like, I should take a break, but before I take a break, I'm gonna get a little bit better. That's how it was for us with podcasting. Every single day we were tweaking and tuning on the podcast. And I got to be completely honest with the Axonius thing. I am beyond grateful for Axonius and everything they've done for us. They gave us that opportunity to go full-time content creation. I mean, we thought it was in the future, but they said, you know what? Let's do it right now. They made a huge bet on us. They want us to help be the voice of that company. And not only that, they said, you know what? We want you to help be the voice of this company. But more importantly, we want to make sure that you continue to own Hacker Valley Media. So it's still ours, but we are in
Yes.
close partnership with Axonius. And so anybody that's willing to bet on you, but not take your lunch, is somebody you want to hang with for a while.
That's it. He said it. It's a wrap. I mean, that's what it's all about at the end of the day. Like you were saying, it's important to own your stuff. And in some ways that might be owning your job. Maybe you have the dream job that you love, but if it's not, and it's a business, or just even owning your own YouTube channel, like whatever that you can feel that you have stake in. And there's this book that's right behind me. It's called The War of Art. This author talks about having land instead of rank in like a company or your community, but having like a stake in it. And that's what we wanted. We wanted to have a stake in our future through the podcast, but also a stake in our future through creating content for a company that we believe in, and we've just been running with it.
Yes. Hold on. Let me see if y'all could hear it. Hey, listen. Yeah. Okay. I don't know if y'all heard that, but that was Navi from Legend of Zelda. I have a little sound thing here, and working on it.
Okay, I like
that. But again, shout out again to the chat. Jennifer says, I always read what Chris tells me to. Textual Chatter, shout out to Textual Chatter. He says, what's the secret? Anonymous, friend of the show, says, it's good to see and chat with everyone again.
Great to see you
here. Madman says, happy Vets Day. Kalila Scott, another friend of the show, says, hey, everyone. And when they were talking about, when you were talking about the Hacker Mansion, Professor Black Ops says, Playboy Mansion for hackers. Again, last chance, everybody, to put in hashtag AimChat to qualify for the giveaway. We're giving away, I think I'm giving away 2 secure coding courses from We Hack Purple Academy. Super important, especially in the day of AppSec. So it's a great course. Please throw that in the chat and put your name in the drawing. Now, gentlemen, you were talking about you have, what you said, like 6 other shows right now, and you're about to have 11 in the next year.
Yep.
Okay, and in doing that, with the ownership and the partnership with Axonius, You also grouped together with a bunch of other people that I know very well, including Marcus J. Carey, who we talked about earlier, and created something called Metaversable.
Ooh.
Yep.
And I see you guys are wearing the Unicorn Social Club.
Yes, indeed. I
Y'all
didn't
got
even
the
realize you was
unicorn.
wearing it, Ron.
Yes,
Y'all got the
sir.
Unicorn Social Club swag on.
Just
So
in
That's too
case.
please,
funny. We didn't coordinate. We didn't even coordinate. So one of us has got to change.
but
You got
that's
to go
that bit,
change, Ron.
but that's that business mind.
Yeah.
That's that business mind. So for those of who do not know, please talk about what Metaversable is, and we're gonna get into that because this is something that I've been wanting to push for a little while too when it comes to crypto and stuff. So please, the floor is yours.
I do a quick story and then I'll kick it over to Ron. So I got to be honest with you. I would say I know what crypto was and I had understood what NFTs, non-fungible tokens were. But about 2 months ago, Ron hits me up and was like, "We're about to get in the NFT business." And I was like, "What are we doing?" That night, we had a call with Marcus Carey and some heavy hitters, not only from technology, but also in cybersecurity. And so we're all talking. He almost did the Professor X thing where he pulled all the X-Men together and everybody had their own special superpower. And we're like, okay, what's the mission? What are we trying to do here? And he's like, I want you guys to start a podcast. I was like, okay, that's great. And when do you need it? Like tomorrow. And we're like, what? And so
Sounds about right.
we went from 0 podcasts to the next day recording episode 1, pulling together the intro, getting it deployed, and within 48 hours, not only was episode 1 done, but it was pushed to Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. And this is me tooting our own horn. It was fire. Episode 1 was fire. If you compare episode 1 of Metaversable to episode 1 of Hacker Valley, it's like night and day difference. You see that we're coming into our own with content creation. And what's beautiful about it is that not only are we on the service side with Metaversable, we're going to help people launch NFT projects. We're going to help people stay safe and get verified and all these different cool things with that. But we're also on the art side because, as you know, Ron and I, we're creatives at our heart, at our core. And so being able to be a part of art, we were a part of the pre-sale for the Unicorn Social Club. And it was so cool. It was like watching a rocket launch. It's really hard to explain that feeling, but to see the technology work, to see people excited about the artwork that Marcus pulled together, and we're only going to continue to do more and more of these projects. So I think that Web3 and everything that it has to offer, I think blockchain technology, people are like, oh, it's all a scam, or oh, this is just a fad. Listen here, you heard it here first from me, that this technology is honestly going to be the future of economics. It's going to be the future of how art is sold and how artists are paid for their services. It's going to change so many things that we don't even imagine yet. So I encourage everybody now that if you're listening, you're like, oh, forget the NFT stuff. Just give it a half a day. Give it a half a day. Read some articles about it. Read some folks that really know what they're talking about. Listen to some smart people, because if you don't listen right now and you don't catch this boat, you're going to say, dang, I wish 20 years ago I would have listened and looked into this technology, because honestly, this is where everything is going.
It's technology at the end of the day. You know, we have to at least take a look at it to see what type of capabilities that it has to offer. And like Chris is saying,
Absolutely.
Web 3.0, it is the next version. It's the next thing to do. But really, the Metaversable project, you know, we're going to be outlining from the podcast perspective, outlining the journey and chronicling the journey of blockchain, digital art, and virtual reality. Because when you look at what we're doing today, what we're doing on this live stream, we are really entering the metaverse. We're not using goggles yet, but now more than ever, we're connected. We're connected to everyone through Slack, through Discord, through social media. So this kind of metaverse that we're living in today is already converging. And the Metaversable project is going to really help keep that space secure. We're also helping artists launch, you know, their art on the metaverse, on the blockchain, and creating those virtual workspaces for people to have at their fingertips.
And if you're looking for like a just quick crash course, Hacking But Legal, Jackie, we love you, Jackie. She is beyond brilliant. She just did a Twitter thread. I think it was yesterday or the day before. Just go through that Twitter thread, and if you do find that Twitter thread and you find what she's talking about, and it interests you and it resonates with you, be sure to like let her know that it came from this podcast, because that's going to be your quickest introduction to Web3, and it is fire. You'll see some people pinging back and forth, having some of those concerns that people have, but she answers every single one of them. So definitely look at that. It's at Hacking But Legal on Twitter.
Yeah, I encourage everybody to go check it out. I didn't read the full thread. I started looking into it, but I agree 100%. Like they thought crypto was just a fad back in what 08, 09, 2010, and now I'm kicking myself because when I had an opportunity to get Bitcoin when it was like $27 or something a coin, I was like, nah, I'm not 100% sure about it. And now I'm looking and I'm like,
well, you know what you should look at it like? Getting Bitcoin is like getting gold or silver shekels. Like you could use that, but it's not necessarily currency. So I think like when, we look at these new technologies coming out, we're going to see like it start to turn more into this monetization like currency rather than like this very beautiful thing to have in your back pocket.
yeah. But I think with the creation of NFTs, I think that's what's really going to bring it out, and it's going to really bring more people out. But for those who don't know, if you want to just give a quick rundown of what NFTs are and why they're so important, because I was going to talk about it, but I'll let you two gentlemen, since you have the platform.
Yeah, easy peasy. And just a quick caveat: we are not financial advisors.
Yeah.
So don't make any financial decisions based on us. Talk to the professionals. But NFTs, non-fungible tokens. So if you think about a dollar bill, I can have a dollar bill in my pocket, and there's a dollar bill in your pocket, and we can switch those dollar bills, and there's not a real big difference. Non-fungible tokens are basically certificates of authenticity. I'm sure a lot of people that are on the call today, either you collected sports cards or maybe comic books and you've gotten them graded. There's a certificate of authenticity that says this is an authentic thing, and then you have it. But up until now, there hasn't been a way to do that with digital assets. But that non-fungible token can enable that. So it's on the blockchain, it's written in perpetuity. It says this person owns this thing. And so then we can trade them back and forth, and you can now have ownership, almost like anything that you would own in real life. But the real beautiful thing, and the why I said that it's going to change the way that artists live. I was a struggling artist for a long time. I actually was a dancer before the Marine Corps, and I struggled to monetize my art. I struggled to monetize my dancing. But now, when you look at NFTs, what's beautiful about it is there's this thing called smart contracts, which is usually in Ethereum or Solana. Those are two different cryptos that you can look into. But what it does is it enables an artist to say, okay, I have this piece of art. I'm going to make it. It's beautiful. I'm going to sell it to you for $1. Let's say you're an art trader. That art trader buys that thing for $1 and realizes this is about to be worth $50,000. Then that art dealer goes to sell it. In that smart contract, you can code into the transaction that whenever this piece of art changes hands, whatever that sale price is, the original artist, gets a percentage of whatever that is. I can't begin to tell you how important that is for an artist to understand that just because you send it out for this floor of money and it goes up in value, you're still going to get a piece of that. So it's no longer out of the hands of the artist and it's only in the hands of the art galleries. It's now back in the hands of the people. So when you talk about decentralization, that's what crypto did for finance. NFT did decentralization of art, and it's going to decentralize more and more things we can't even comprehend right now. But decentralization is that next wave. We had that static website, which was Web 1. We went into dynamic and more Web 2 stuff, but now it's Web 3. And I cannot wait to see what we come up with next.
Yeah, that's awesome. And for those who don't think you can really take advantage of NFTs and monetizing your ownership in art. Just look at a lot of musicians right now. I saw one where a couple musicians basically put their music out as NFTs and made $500,000 in hours, in a couple hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, yeah, I know the record labels might be mad because they're not getting a cut off of it, but that's the whole thing about ownership, right? Now you get to put out what you want, and if people find value in it, they pay you, and you get paid for it, and it's yours, and it's secure. And I just highly encourage everybody, like I want my son, my son does a lot of artwork. I don't know if you've seen the show before, but I share a lot of the photos that he does. Like, probably gonna put those out as NFTs, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Get him in it, get him in the game early, and to understand what's going on, and to, again, back to a full circle, knowing your worth and putting it out there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's awesome. So please go check that out. Go check out Jackie's thread, Hacking But Legal. Go check out Metaversable. It's on your hackervalley.com site. So go check that out, and go check out the podcast. I have to listen to the podcast and with my notepad. So
you got to come on the podcast too.
Yeah.
Oh, say when. Say when. All right, so we're gonna get to the last round of questions. Remember, everybody, #AimChat if you want to be in the running. I mean, there's a lot of people in the chat, but I don't see a lot of people in the running right now. So, go ahead, or I'm just going to give them away. I mean, if you want them, hey.
If they don't take them, we'll take them.
Yeah. So, with all of your experience in cybersecurity, and then leveraging that into a podcast that started from cybersecurity, or even with the hacking mansion. If someone were to come to you today and ask you, 3 pieces of advice for how they can get into tech and, I guess, elevate themselves, what advice would that be?
Without saying the be so good they can't ignore you again. No, but I think the first thing to do is, when it comes to being successful, is figure out what that means. What does that mean for you in your life? Everyone's life situation is much different. So, for instance, for me, to be successful is to be a lifelong learner and teacher. As long as I'm doing those 2 things, I'm constantly learning and in some ways reinventing myself, then I'm very, very successful. And that goes beyond just the money stuff. Even though we talked about money earlier, that was a career challenge that I faced. But when I found out, that this is my goal and my journey in life, everything got that much easier. So it takes some time to figure out what that is for you, what makes you successful. But once you start to define that and make it simple and break it down to its most simplest terms, then you can start to be successful in your own right, and it doesn't have to be from the recognition of others.
I like that. Chris, what about you? What tips would you give?
Yeah, so I got a whole framework for you. So Ron and I, we do Think Weeks about twice, maybe 3 times a year. And it's just like Bill Gates. We go to somewhere secluded. We tend to, turn off the phones. We close the laptops, and we sit and we strategize about how we're going to make an impact in our community, how we're going to impact the people that we love, and how we're going to do some good in this world. And we were sitting around one Think Week. I think this was last year. And we thought about, like, how do we help people explore what life has to offer? And we came up with this framework called EXIST. And it's an acronym. So the EX is explore. It's all about that dabbling, like we were talking about in the very beginning. Whether it's in cybersecurity, maybe you're going from somewhere, you're in compliance, but you're really interested in threat hunting. So dabbling in that, seeing what's good there. It could go for sports. Maybe your parents made you play baseball, but you're really interested in basketball. So testing out the waters there. And really, once you explore, sometimes it hits you like a tuning fork. Like with podcasting, we were all in. For me, there were some aspects of technology that was a slow burn, like compliance. Compliance is so important, but it took me years and years and years of understanding it to really get good at it. So it really depends on how it strikes you. But then you go from the EX to the I, which is immersion. If you wanted to learn Japanese as fast as possible, what is the best way you could do that?
Speak it, or put yourself in a situation where you have to speak it.
Put yourself in go to Japan, live there for 3 months. You will learn more Japanese quicker than you could from any book or maybe even any course. So immerse yourself in the imagery, the sounds, the people of that whatever world you're trying to get better at. Go join a club, just listen to people talk. There's this nice tip that we got from The Art of the Impossible, and it's called The 5 Books of Stupid. But we've talked about it to death on our podcast, and definitely get the book. But really, it's about immersing yourself with these $5. It's not for the study, which is the next thing, but it's more about understanding the concepts. It's more about what is interesting you about this particular subject. And then you go from that I, immersion, to S, study, which is more practical. You're practicing now. When we got into the podcast game, we were surrounded by everything, but then it was time to put it into motion. It was time to work. We were putting out episodes every week, sometimes multiple times a week. We thought we had decent voices, but we wanted our voices to be better. So we got a vocal coach for 3 months. We actually just talked to her today. We continued to push ourselves. We wanted to get better at interviewing. Who are the best interviewers out there? We're looking at folks like James Lipton. We're looking at folks like Joe Rogan. We're looking at Oprah. How do we practice getting better at that? How do we practice our editing? I took several different courses on editing. People will hear my stuff and think, well, who's the audio engineer that worked on this? It was me, a cybersecurity practitioner that did not go to school for audio editing. We slowly but surely got better at it, at whatever our craft was. And the best way to do that is break it up into digestible chunks and practice, get better every day that you can. And then ultimately that T is the last phase, is that translate or transform. And that's what we're doing right now with our podcast. You either translate it for people that don't know it, you translate it for people that are in it and want to get better, you translate it for children, you translate it for your family, you communicate what you've learned, your experiences to them, or you transform it. You take something that exists and you bring it up a level. What we set out to do in the very beginning, and it sounds like hubris, it sounds overly ambitious, but we really wanted to up-level the game of cybersecurity podcasting. We said we want to take it from here and just make it a little bit better. We want to bring a different energy to it. It's okay to say you want to transform something. You want to make it better for your community. The reason why we wanted to make it better is because we wanted to entice people from where we're from. I'm from Atlanta. Ron's from Baltimore. We want to entice people from our communities, from our neighborhoods, to look at technology as a way to change their socioeconomic status. So yes, in order for us to do that, we had to be the best we could possibly be and transform the game. So if you take that framework and you apply it to anything that you want to be good at, you can't do any wrong.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Al Minigan actually says exists as an excellent framework. You guys explained it well on another podcast I watched.
Great. And, oh, nice.
Yeah, that's dope. I like that. I like that. It challenges you, and again, it holds you accountable, because it's up to you putting yourself out there and immersing yourself in everything. So, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
All right. So, and by the way, yes, you guys definitely did achieve those goals of being one of the best cybersecurity podcasts, if not one. So, and I'm the first one to say it from my podcast.
I appreciate it.
So, it is what it is. But like I said, hard work pays off. And speaking of hard work, we have a hard worker, Mary Galloway, in here. Hey guys,
Mary.
Yeah, she actually was she's been asking about that for a while too. Like, when are you guys gonna have them on the show? I'm working on it. On it. But all right. So let's see. I think you guys kind of answered it already, or you answered how you would do it. But what are your goals, whether it's for the rest of 2021 or long-term goals?
There's a bunch. We got some ambitious goals. So there's a few projects that we have going on right now. We can't get too much in detail, but we're hoping to really create more shows. Like you were saying, we have 6 shows right now. We're hoping to expand to 11, and out of those 11, there's one very special show that we're actually putting a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of energy in. It's going to have some of the best thought leaders out there. It's going to have some of the best cybersecurity practitioners. And it's also going to have some people that you wouldn't expect on the show talking about the topics that are somewhat divisive, that somewhat tear people apart. But really, both of the answers on both sides brings people back together, and that's what we want to do through this new show is talk about the topics that don't really get spoken about. That's what we're doing with Hacker Valley already with the humanity aspect, but bring in more of that thought leadership on this next show.
Sounds interesting. I'll be clear. Sounds, once you said thought provoking and challenge, yeah.
Chris, can you give them a teaser of one of the topics?
Absolutely.
I got the exclusive. Yes,
exclusive, first ever.
So believe it or not, there's hints of it already on my LinkedIn. There is a poll on my LinkedIn that's actually going to be the jump off point for episode 1. And it's, do we genuinely have a personnel / skills gap in cybersecurity?
Ooh.
Some of the thoughts, I think you'd be surprised at some of the thoughts and what people think and some of the research that's coming out. So just stay tuned for that. It's going to be mind blowing. There's going to be an investigative podcast aspect to it. And even some more stuff that's going to be high level. You've never seen anything like this in cybersecurity, and we can't wait to show you.
And the other piece that I wanted to just shout out real quick is also like the Unicorn Social Club project.
Yeah.
We still have a lot of work to do on that. Like, this is a community that we're building. So outside of just buying digital art and, supporting an artist, you're also building a community, and there will be some utility to the token that we're creating also, because we're going to be donating some of the proceeds back into charity. And if you're interested in the charities that we've selected, check out unicornsocialclub.com. It's all there, and also how you can learn more and get involved in the project.
I like that. I like the charity piece of it. That's important. All right, so final question. I don't know if you've watched the show. If you have, that's great. That's awesome. Thank you for watching. But I ask every guest who's on here for the first time, what is your why? So what keeps you going? What's your drive? It can be whatever it is, whatever your why is. What is yours?
When I was a kid, I didn't have my value reflected in just about anyone. And I didn't realize that until I started working with an executive coach, Laura Garnett. It's actually the coach of Ron as well. And once I realized that this is what my core emotional conflict was, that people didn't see the value in me. And so I started with this fuel, this dirty fuel of like, I'm going to show them. I'm going to show them. I'm going to prove them wrong. And that really was that first fuel that I used for my career to get into a little success, but it burns dirty. The fuel that I use now is from the same core emotional conflict, but I use it in a much more healthy manner. And my why is to be that reflection, to be that amplifier for other people's stories, to reflect the value of other people, the stuff that they create, their experiences. And this is why we found a home in podcasting, because it's not about us. If you listen to our show, we're not talking about, oh, me, my, this is what I think, this is my genius. We really put it on the guest. We say, this is them. This is what makes them beautiful in humanity. This is what they're special. This is why they're special. This is what their experiences are. And I get to do that on a daily basis. And so I'm going to continue to push people's stories. I'm going to continue to push people that are underrepresented. I'm going to continue to push people and everything that is valuable about them into the world, so they don't have to do it themselves.
That's dope. That burning dirty hit home. Like it hit home with me, because that was my drive for so many years, right? I took it like Jordan in The Last Dance, where he was like, I just took it personal, right?
Right.
When you first try to get in and you try to find a mentor, you try to find help, and people might not, want to be helpful, or they leave you on red or whatever.
Yeah.
And that for so many years, it was like, yo, every time I see him, I'm dropping 40. right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that was the mentality. And then after a while, it started to get physically and mentally exhausting to keep up that chip on your shoulder, right? They talk about, and rest in peace to Kobe Bryant, the Mamba mentality and all of that. And I had to learn that there's a time and place for it, right?
Yep.
It can't be 24/7. It can't, because it eats away at you. So again, thank you for sharing that. Ron, what's your why?
So it's funny because as Chris describes his why, and we've talked about our why, over the course of several years, especially during our Think Weeks, I feel like our whys always converge, right? I think that's why we make such great partners. My why is to bring solutions to light. I love solutions. I'm a solution insight excavator. I will dig deep until there is a solution and the solution is found. And Chris, he's the voice. He really is the big thinker. He thinks about how to help so many people. And what my why is how to get this help to all the people. How can we scale it? How can I automate it? How can I, do all of these things? And really, on top of all of that, besides just the solutions, my why is also to gain rare and valuable skills that will help me create freedom personally and financially. So when I combine those two pieces together, my solution insight excavation with my journey to get these rare and valuable skills, that's my why that keeps me going.
See, I know they said Chris is the philosopher, but you got away with words too, Ron. So I'm gonna give you
He
credit for
does.
that
He
too.
does.
But just in hearing the two of your whys, Voltron. It makes sense. It makes sense. That's like, I mean, you guys, it's like you bounced ideas off of each other naturally, and the product you get is essentially the empire you're building. So much success to you. Thank you for joining little old me on my show. I said earlier, I was like, I'm dealing with the imposter syndrome of having you guys on, but I was going to get through it and have a great show, and I think we succeeded in that. So
You did.
yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for joining, and I appreciate you sharing your knowledge with us, ladies and gentlemen, everybody watching. This has been Ron Eddings and Chris Cochran.
Thank you.
You double it up.
Hey, thank y'all.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna get into a couple questions for Q&A real quick, but before we do that, it is giveaway time. So, just real quick, I don't want to hold you guys up too much, but I don't know if you can hear it. I can't share the screen because everything's acting
rolling.
stupid.
Here, rolling.
Oh, Al Minigan.
Hey,
Congratulations. You have won
great stuff.
a secure coding course from the We Hack Purple Academy. If you're still here, please send me a DM with your email address, and we can get you set up with Angela from We Hack Purple. But like I said, I'm giving away 2 because I can do it. So
let's do it.
So,
let's go again.
Let's do it again. All right, we have Madman. If you're still here,
Congrats, Madman.
let me know if you're here in the chat. You have 30 seconds to claim your prize. Then if not, I have to spin again.
Oh no.
All right. So in the meantime, while I'm waiting for that, let's see if there's any questions.
There was one thing I also wanted to mention. A lot of people will ask me and Chris, like, where are all these books that you all are referring to? Those are also on our website, hackervalley.com/books.
Nice. Okay, and Madman is here. So Madman, you have won a secure coding course courtesy of We Hack Purple Academy. Please shoot me a message, whether it's on Twitter or LinkedIn or however you got connected with me. Shoot me a message, and I will get that information over to you so you can get your account created. Mary Galloway asked, "Who was the executive coach?"
Oh, that was Laura Garnett. Look her up. She wrote the Genius Habit.
Yep.
Incredible coach. Incredible coach.
Okay. If Anonymous says congratulations to Alan Madman. If there are any, does anybody else have any questions? I'm just going to scroll through the chat real quick. Oh, Madman asked, "Are there any credible sources to learn NFTs?" I'm assuming he means besides Jackie.
Yeah. So there's a podcast with Tim Ferriss that just came out maybe last week. Look for Web3. I think one of the gentlemen's name is Naval. It's like a duo that comes on to talk to Tim Ferriss. That they go deep on the beginning. They go through what they're thinking and as far as like investments and things like that. So that's a really, really good source. And honestly, the Metaversable .io page has some stuff there written by some of the writers that are on our team. And then also, if you're even interested, Ron, who is one of the best technical instructors I think out there in the game, he put together a video on how to get started with Solana, which is one of the tokens that people like to use. So definitely look for all of that stuff. I'm sure there's a plethora of other things. Oh, one thing, if you like fiction, I'm actually in the middle of it right now. It's called Snow Crash. It's about the metaverse and everything that is this digital world in which we live in. So definitely check that out. And also, if you are a fan of fiction as well, one thing that you can listen to or read is my favorite book of all time, which is Ready Player One. It's also a movie, but the movie is very different from the book. Both are good, but very different. So yeah, just like that 5 books strategy. Even if you go in the fiction route, there's definitely some things to whet your appetite.
Yeah, I bought Ready Player 2, but my son confiscated it, and I had
Oh, dang.
So, but yeah, I plan on reading that one when I get some downtime. Quick question, selfish question. That's I guess again perks of being a host. When you create when you come up with your to start creating your podcast, is there a creative process that you go through, or do you just hit record and whatever comes to mind?
Think about who you want to talk to. Who is that person? What are the challenges that they have? What is their background? What do they think about on a day-to-day basis? Think about that from that standpoint. But then also think about how specific you want to talk about some specific subject. Think about planning out 12 episodes. What you find is people that get in a podcast just kind of willy-nilly, they have enough juice for about 7 episodes. It's called pod fade. But if you're really interested in doing this for an appreciable amount of time, think about what you want to talk about and then get a 10-word description of what that podcast is really all about. We, on the Hacker Valley Studio podcast, we explore the human condition and technology, and we look at the nexus of it to bring about the best performance that we can in our humanity. That's what we really focus on. So really think about what it is that you want to bring to the world, what you want to talk about, that touchstone. That's going to help you with figuring out who you want to bring on as guests. That's going to help you stay on track with your mission. Really think about that what you're talking about and who you're talking to, and you'll be all right.
All right. Anything you want to add, Ron?
The only thing I would add to that is ask the questions that are important, not just like the questions that you think are important, but the questions that are important to you. One of the worst things that you could do is just invite someone on the podcast or go down this journey and then ask them like some random questions that have nothing to do with anything, and no one really gets anything out of it. So I would say really our biggest thing is making sure that we found curiosity in the guests, and there's a lot to go off of when it comes to like that intersection between technology and humanity.
Yep. Know who you're talking to. I like that. I try to do that at least. Ty asks, thoughts on Coinbase.
Coinbase is great. It's absolutely great. It's an exchange. There's not really much that you can do with your wallet today on Coinbase, but Coinbase is a great opportunity, in my opinion, to create some order to all of this socioeconomic chaos that's out there. You know, I think Robinhood also has done a great job. Banks have done a great job of providing opportunities to people, and Coinbase is that for all people in the crypto space.
Yep, I like Coinbase, but I've actually joined the Voyager trading app.
Okay.
They just partnered with the Dallas Mavericks, but I like them because I mean I think Coinbase does it too, but from what I like about Voyager is it gives you the opportunity to also like gain interest on
Okay.
your coins and stuff. So I mean and you can invest in like the USDC coin, which is basically like the dollar backed cryptocurrency, and get better interest than you get in a bank. So
And maybe lower fees. I mean, I know Coinbase
yeah,
has fees that, you know, no one likes paying those.
yeah. So definitely the lower fees, but I definitely think everybody should take a crack at it. It's there. Do your research,
Hmm.
and I treat cryptocurrency or just like investing, just like gambling. Don't play with money that you need. So
Yeah.
Mm.
let's not let's not throw the mortgage
Yeah.
at Ethereum or anything like that. That's you you don't have to own a whole coin to be profitable. Like I tell people all
Yeah.
the time, I have like the equivalence of like 4.5 cents in Bitcoin,
Yeah.
but that 4.5 cents is now worth close to 5 grand. So it's just
Right.
kind of whenever you get in on it.
Hmm.
But yeah, just be mindful of what you're doing. Don't spend your important money. Use your play money. That's just my spiel on it. All
Yep.
right, so ladies and gentlemen, everybody watching, are there any other questions? Going once, going twice. Come on, man! It took me months to get these gentlemen on this show. No, but seriously, no, I think that's about it. So, ladies and gentlemen, everybody watching, this has been another episode of InfoSec Unplugged. I have been your host, Davin Jackson. Once again, to my pack, thank you for joining. A special shout out to my guests, Ron Eddings, Chris Cochran, Hacker Valley Studio, Metaversable, and I'm not going through the list of all the other podcasts because I don't even know them yet, and 11 more. But again, like I said, you guys are definitely. I think I said it to you on Twitter when that came out that I looked at you guys as definitely trendsetters, and it makes doing this well worth it when you know that there can be something greater beyond having a few people like your video on
Right.
YouTube, to know that you can build this, and even just the people that you're helping, that I think that's another thing that kept me going. When I was on break for like 3-4 months, and I was really
Yeah.
debating whether or not I was coming back. And if I'm being honest, I have a lot of family and friends, but they don't really support this stuff, right? Because I mean,
Right.
some of them don't understand cybersecurity. Some of them just don't. I mean, I get more support when I'm on other people's platforms than when I do my own. But
Mm.
it's all love, though. Like I said, I
Yeah.
know it's not for everybody. So when I made the decision to come back, it was legitimately for my pack that I call them. Everybody who's here every week. Ty, Kalila, Professor Black Ops. We have a couple, a few other people who aren't here tonight. Mary Galloway, Studio Sec. Please go check him out. I was just on his show on Monday. Textual Chatter. I have something in the works with him, and we just got to get it on the schedule. But it's seeing the return, and hearing how listening to certain people or talking to certain people affect them. And honestly, if I'm speaking selfishly, again, speaking to you guys and all my other guests that have said something that hit a chord with me, that it was like it puts the pieces together. So
Hmm.
again, this has been Voltron, aka Ron and Chris. Please give them a round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I will, let's see, I will be out of town next week, but I will be on Thursday with my guest. I will announce that later on. But like I said, anytime you want me on the show, just let me know.
It's done. Let's make it happen.
All right.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you all next week. Remember to exist, be safe, love one another. And again, happy Veterans Day to all those who served. Oh, last but not least, my son, his birthday was this week. Nathaniel, I love you. You are everything that I want in a son and then some. And my goal is to have you become a better man than I am. And you're already there at 12. So I love you and happy birthday. All right. So I will see you all next week, everybody. Take care.